Welcome back to another episode of the Offer Hustle. I'm your favorite cousin, DJ, MC, host, all in three, all of that. Deona Hustle. Major shout out to NSPN and the shop over in KCK for allowing us to set up shop per usual. I forgot what number episode, but we cruising along. All I got to say is thank y'all so much for the support and being tapped in. I'm trying to look up and figure out what number we on right now. We're on number 48. This is episode number 48. So thank you guys for being along the journey of the Offer Hustle. Now today, I'm super excited about this episode. A lot of people think that they know about gun safety, the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, whatever you want to call it. But the stuff a lot of people know, common knowledge, will actually get you into deeper trouble. So today we're actually going to talk more into detail. I consider her a double agent because she works in the financial realm by day, but at night, former certified concealed carry instructor on the Missouri side and the Kansas side, which means she knows her stuff. She's trained over 200 families. She's been putting in that work. Second Amendment advocate, please welcome Latasha Jacobs.
I appreciate being asked to join and in the conversation this afternoon.
I appreciate you. Thank you for making time for this.
Oh, yeah.
I know we didn't rank it up real quick and we made it happen, but I thank you for your time.
It's my favorite topic, so I'm always down.
Yeah, and so you and I don't know when we officially met, but I remember two occasions where we were in the same room and a part of an event. And I know it was Black Excellence KC, I believe. Major shout out to Akil.
And Akil.
And Akil and Craig. And they had a training that was basically educating people. Mm-hmm. And that was like my first time actually being like, okay, let me learn a little bit about it. Even though my dad's a police officer, I mean, he in St. Louis, I'm here. So it's just like, it's only so much you could translate over the phone and those type of things. So I learned a lot in that class. So thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.
And now we bringing it on the Offer Hustle. Yep. So normally I start off with an icebreaker, cousins, as you know, but we're going to do a little bit of a remix for you. This one is going to be simple. I'm going to throw out a couple scenarios. Okay. And you're going to let me know if it's self-defense or our cousins out there straight up escalating.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first scenario, you driving, somebody cuts you off on 71. Now y'all both pull over and the other person starts aggressively walking towards your car, yelling. So you grab your firearm, but don't point it at him. It's just visible. Is this considered self-defense or escalation?
Escalation.
Straight
100%. First of all, you misstepped or you did wrong by pulling over.
That's the one.
You involved yourself in that conflict on the front end. And then there's a thing called, and I'm forgetting the exact term, sorry, but there's a level of escalation. Mm-hmm. So if I smack you, you don't go and get a gun. You've exceeded that level of escalate, or you've escalated way beyond the level that I set it at. Now, if you slap me back, that's one thing. That's mutual combat, but you've already went above and beyond. So the first mistake was even pulling the car over.
Yeah. I don't get why people do that. Like, what y'all think I gonna talk about?
Right.
Y'all think I'm gonna have a podcast conversation?
And then, too, you pulling a gun, your car is already a deadly weapon. So you were already in a space that one was a protection. So even if they did try to aggressively come at you, you in a car, you're protected. There's no need for you to pull a gun.
Yeah, especially because you could have drove off.
Exactly. Now you get out the car, you pull the gun,
you're going to jail.
Don't hang it up. Yeah, hang it up.
Well, this kind of leads into my second scenario. You're in a physical fight and you might be getting beat down. Mm-hmm. Now it's mutual. Y'all done thrown a couple blows on both ends, but now it's just getting worse. You decide to pull out your firearm to protect yourself.
Yep.
What would you consider this? Self-defense or escalation?
That's a tricky one, simply because if it's a man that's 300 pounds and I'm a woman and I weigh 150, like you already double and you probably already have more strength than me. So obviously your level of aggression is higher than what mine is. Mm-hmm. So I may need to pull out some level of weapon to defend myself and meet you at the level that you're at. Yeah. But yes, I can pull my firearm, but most people ain't gonna keep coming at you after you done already pulled a gun. So maybe be like, hey, I have a firearm, I will defend myself if necessary. And if they keep coming towards me as I'm backing up and I start to draw, I'm gonna tell you one more time, like, hey, I don't want to do this, but you know
Simon
what I mean?
says freeze.
Yes, there's a level of escalation, but sometimes, of course, and that's a perfect scenario, but when adrenaline is rushing and it's conflict, there's not much time to think about it. And that's why training and understanding is very important, because now because of my years of training, I do have a different level of, I'm going to walk away from this fight, even if it hasn't gotten to the point of a firearm. I'm going to walk away because I don't even want to be involved in this situation.
Yeah.
Because if it gets to that point, I know I'm fully prepared, and I don't know what you got going on. It just gets real gray.
Yeah. I'm with you when you're right.
Did I answer that?
No, you did.
Okay.
That was a perfect explanation for you to break it down for us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those type of things can seem sticky. Like it's complicated, but like you said, some of the facts matter. Yep. Like if the person is first of all, if it's a man and you're a woman, to me the scale is we already off balance here. So I would feel more comfortable to maybe take it that route if I have to.
There's also a scenario that we usually teach in training. And it was actually happening here in Kansas City. A young lady, I believe it was an off-duty firefighter. She shot the man because her boyfriend was in a fight with the off-duty firefighter. Don't quote me. The firefighter got the upper hand and ended up putting him in a chokehold.
Got you.
So he escalated the fight well beyond what it was necessary. Right. And you can step in to defend someone else who can't defend themselves as long as you don't exceed. But you literally are about to kill this man by suffocating him. And she stepped in, ended up shooting him, I believe, in his back, and she had to go to trial.
Because I feel like I've seen
it was outside of a gas station.
Yes, it was outside. I did see that.
She went to trial, but there are levels of escalation. But even if it ends up being self-defense, you still have to go to court and prove that. Yeah. You still have to go through, jail. You still got to go through all of that. So it's going to disrupt your everyday life. Yeah. So again, those decisions are imperative.
Yeah, which is smart. So I think people should think about that more.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, of course, if you really feel like it's life or death, because that's to me is the point. Is my dad always said, you don't draw your weapon unless you plan to use it.
Yes.
So if you're gonna pull that bad boy out, the intentions are it is life or death.
Yep.
That's for police officers. Yep. That should be for all police officers. That should be for civilians. Right. Heavy on the should be. That's another conversation for another day. Yes. We'll be here all day talking about that. But I mean, so I appreciate you explaining that, because there's a lot of gray area with stuff, and people are just like, well, she or he socked me in the mouth and I just went to the car. Because in my head, it's like, if you had to then leave and go somewhere, that means you could get away from the imminent danger.
Exactly. And that's what you have to prove. Was it to the level that you needed to go and get a firearm, get a knife? I don't care what it is. Whatever it is that you going to go get, you had opportunity, just like you said, to leave. You had opportunity to get in your car, to remove yourself again from that imminent danger, whatever the case may be. So there are 50 different opportunities for you not to pick this one. And then if you do choose that one, you got to prove to the court, to the judge, and 12 of your peers as to why that was the best choice rather than this one.
Yeah, that's a lot. So we don't want you to have to go to court. Now, I'm going to hop more into the conversation. I got a bonus question for you. Do you recommend everyone carry, or is it not for everybody?
It ain't for everybody.
Now, why do you say that?
Everybody. One, are you trained? Do you have an understanding? Do you know to where you can and cannot carry at? You, even in the school zone, in some cities or some municipalities, you can get in trouble for even being in the school zone with a firearm.
Really?
So it's just most people don't realize or don't fully comprehend, which I don't understand. The post office is a federal agency, right? You can't even be on the property, meaning in their parking lot with the firearm. Really? If something happens, now you got federal charges rather than state or municipal charges. Okay. So it's a whole list of reasons as to why you should be educated. And then if you know you're a hothead, why are you walking around with a pistol?
That's a good point.
Is even a taser. I tell people, be mindful with a taser. If I hit you with a taser, I could possibly kill you depending on what's going on. Exactly. So now that what you thought was a simple non-lethal weapon has now turned deadly, and you still gonna go for murder charges and all this. So you have to be aware of all these different things.
Mm-hmm. Now you had your U.S. Concealed Carry Association certificate. Mm-hmm. What led you to this desire to be certified?
So when people ask me this, I always kind of lean in and like, are you ready?
Let's buckle up.
Can we get as raw?
Mark, buckle up.
Can we get raw?
Let's get serious.
White people. And the reason why I say that, I've owned a firearm for 10 plus years, right? Mm-hmm. Just had one in the house because I was a single mother and I just wanted to protect my family. That's what I thought I was doing.
Gotcha.
For one, in that instance, I was actually putting us in more danger because I didn't know how to properly use it. I didn't know how the safety worked. Lo and behold, it never had a safety on it. Never taught my children about it. Right. Didn't have it locked up. So there were just many different avenues that somebody in my home could have got hurt that was not intentional, right? So then in 2020, while everybody else the grocery store and buying toilet paper and
trying
Lysol.
to get right.
I'm over here at the gun store, me and my daddy, buying firearms, buying ammunition, simply because I watched too much Walking Dead at that point in my life. And so it was zombies walking around. Or people they was going to turn into a zombie. I'm going to make it.
You was on Netflix bad.
I'm going to make it. I'm like, how I'm talking to my mom. I'm watching the news. I see people living every day. But because I didn't leave my house for them first 2-3 weeks, it's zombies outside. Yeah, so I'm just doing what I can to protect my family and make it to the next day. And so that's how I initially got started. So I went from 1 firearm to about 5 within 3 months.
Really? Now, what happened in the process of that training? Like, did you get trained?
I hadn't been trained yet.
So what knowledge did you have at that time?
It clicked to me. None. I've been to the gun range, I would say 4, maybe 5 times over that time span. But it was tribal knowledge. So it was, I'm going with you because you've been to the gun range and I watch you shoot on your story on Facebook.
Right.
And I feel like you know enough.
What you doing.
You know more than I do. So you could teach me something when you don't even really know what you're doing. Right. You just know enough. So it was a lot of tribal knowledge. And then one day I sat down, I said, I have all these guns in this house, still with my 2 daughters. And if something, because I work, I'm a single mom, they may be at home by themselves. If something were to happen to them, I would not be able to live with myself. Yeah. So I went to contacted a friend of mine whose dad was a police officer. He took me to the gun range. 30 minutes in, he said, hey, you're a really good shot. You should get trained so you could teach other people how to use their firearm. And I said, okay. So I started going to the gun range by myself. But again, I went with him that one time. Now I'm going to the gun range. Who you think in the gun range? White folks, white men. And so not only was COVID happening, I'm scared of zombies, but then George Floyd happened. So there's a lot of civil unrest in the U.S., a lot of contention between Black community, white community, Hispanic community, all this. So again, I'm in a place and in a position of fear, but the only people around me who have this knowledge are other white people, which is low key a part of that fear that I had. So I'm like, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. What do? I go out and get myself trained, start putting myself in position with other people who are aware of, have a background in firearms or military service, whatever, and get trained. But then I'm like, okay, now I'm looking. It's a bunch of men. It's still men, right? Even if they Black men, it's still a bunch of men. Who else is going to take another mother, my young daughters to go to the range and teach them, but do it in a way that they're patient, they make them feel comfortable, like not overwhelmed. And there was not many people in that space. So it really came from fear, unrest, and just mistrust in the white community and things that were happening. How can I protect me and my children and make it to the next day? That's really where it kind of spawned from. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it at least started. All that Walking Dead and all of them TV shows actually created this, because then in that process you were able to train, you said 200
over
plus
200, yes.
families in that time.
If you are, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Women's Gun Club, Pretty Pistols Posse.
Yes, because I think you've mentioned that before. I've heard it before. Yes.
So I was the founder of that organization. Gotcha. Ended up being, so again, I would go to the range every Wednesday. That was my day. I started going by myself. After I got comfortable, was on my way to getting certified. I think it was scheduled a couple months out. My sister's like, oh, I want to go. Come on, let's go. So then it started just becoming event, like a thing. Just more and more people start coming. And at the time, a friend of mine said, hey, let's like make it into a club. Let's do a whole membership thing and make it free, and we just go and train other Black women. So that's where, it kind of kicked off into being this whole identity of who I was.
I love that. Now, when it comes to, let me backtrack some, because in my head, you start off, you go to maybe an Academy Sports, or you go to a place that sells firearms. You go there, you purchase. Now, from that moment on, do you need a permit? What is the restraints on that in Missouri?
In the state of Missouri, you do not need a permit in order to purchase a firearm. You don't need a permit in order to carry it with you on your person, in your car. You don't need any of that. You literally just go, as long as you pass a background check. Right. Some people pass immediately. Sometimes it's up to, I believe, 7 days. Don't quote me. I'm a little removed from the purchase process. But it may take a couple of days of delay, and then you can go pick up your firearm and you good to go. Again, you can carry it, open carry, concealed carry, so forth. Now, in order to carry in certain jurisdictions or certain areas, in order to travel across state lines with it, you do have to have a conceal and carry permit. So that's where you, in the state of Missouri, you're required to attend an 8-hour course. Oof. So it's, I know, right?
I heard that woof.
Right. Half of it is classroom based. That's where you're learning about the laws. That's where you learn about how to travel with it. That's where you learn how to properly handle storage, all of that. And then the second half is where you go to the range and the instructor observes you shooting, and as long as you pass a certain score or ranking, then they sign off. You take it to the sheriff's office, they run your background check, do the fingerprint, do all that. Now you have a permit for 5 years.
Got you. And it is only 5 years, and that's in Missouri typically.
Yes. Okay. So you have to renew every 5 years in the state of Missouri through the sheriff's department, and you don't have to go back through training. So as long as you don't let it doesn't expire, you let it lapse, you just go redo the background check, and they issue another card. Now,
I know it's not required, but is it a good thing? Is it a positive to get a permit? And the reason I ask that is because I just feel like I remember hearing a few times, and once again, you mentioned the tribal thing. You hear a lot of things passed down. You hear people that seem like they know stuff, and you just be like, you just take from it and it adds to your memory bank. So when it comes to having a permit, I've heard some people say that it could be a bad thing having it and something happens in your under your watch, because now they're going to look at it like, well, you were trained, so you should have known better. So is it better, or is it wise for civilians to get that? Or, I know it depends.
I'm going to still say yes. Like you said, because you are now certified, you have that level of training, you're not held to the same level of standard as a police officer or a military service person, but you still have enough knowledge that you should have known what situation you were in, what de-escalation tools to use, right? So yes, there is a level of scrutiny to say, hey, you are certified, you should have known better. But I still think that it's powerful and it's useful to know, because you're going to learn about laws. You're going to learn about, again, when I can carry, how I can carry, where, all of these different things, rather than just saying, because even if you have to stand in front of the police, a judge, whoever, you still have to say, how is it going to look to say, I took somebody's life, but I didn't know the rules. I didn't know of the game that I was playing. Like it
sounds irresponsible.
Exactly. Yeah. So yes, you are held to a little bit of a higher standard because you are certified, but I still think it's important, especially in this area where we at. I just came from, where the shop, shout out to the shop, been here several times. Where the shop is, it's in Kansas, right?
Yeah.
I'm coming from Missouri. That's where I live and work. Now, as soon as I cross that state line, and we know how fluid and easy it is to just run across the street and cross that state line, I've now entered into a whole nother state, a whole nother jurisdiction. So if I have my firearm on me and I do not have proper permit, I've now committed a federal crime.
Is there a permit necessary in Kansas?
Yes. So Kansas has its own permitting. It's basically you get your permit, your conceal and carry permit in the state that you reside in. Whatever state that you live in, that's your home. That's where you get it at. Okay. But it allows you, again, don't quote me, I'm a little removed from the education piece. I believe it's 32 states that share reciprocity. So that means I can travel to 32 other states with my firearm. Now, that means I have to follow their rules. The rules in Missouri don't follow me to Kansas, don't follow me to Texas, don't follow me wherever else. So I have to follow the rules of the state that I'm traveling to, but I can still go to up to 32 other states with my firearm and, it'd be legal as long as I'm carrying it based under their rules.
Now, how does it work with the traveling of it? Like if you just going from point A to point B, you running errands and those type of things? Because to me, that was always the thing that I was confused about.
Right.
Is because I know a lot of people that might have firearms and protection or just certain weapons at their home. That's just for home.
Yep.
And then some people have things that they keep on them and they take it off and on when they're in the car and those type of things. So that was something I always was confused about, is when you're traveling in the vehicle, and I know this might tap into a little bit of more of laws and that type of nature, which you might not be able to answer, but how are you supposed to actually travel with that? Loaded, unloaded, in the glove compartment, one in the head, one
I just want to say first that your accent came out when you said off and on. I just wanted to.
It's gonna come in. Yeah, it's gonna pop in there every now and then. In there. Yep. There you go.
But so I will say again, I'm not an attorney. Please don't quote me on anything when it comes to legal. But Kansas and Missouri have fairly similar laws because we are so closely connected, especially the city of Kansas City or the county, you know what I mean, when it comes to jumping over that state line. So it is pretty closely connected, but hold on, wait, what was the original question?
I did kind of
make sure I get it right.
Since I did kind of drop a lot of questions on you.
How should you carry?
Yes.
How should?
In the car.
Yes. So I remember when I was growing up, tribal knowledge, or may have been the law back then, they would say that your ammunition or your magazine had to be out of the firearm and like
in a different place,
completely different
place. That's what I heard too.
Right. So, but then I'm like, how crazy do that sound? Like, hold on, Mr. Killer Man, let me get in my glove box and then get in my trunk.
Right. Let me make this a fair one.
Pieces together. Yeah. Like, and that doesn't make sense. So again, that may have been the law back then, but as far as I know, the law is you can carry. It does not limit how you carry in the state of Missouri as far as one in a chamber, one in a head or not. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
You know, how many you can have. There in some states there are magazine limits. Like I think state of California, you can't have more than 6 rounds in your firearm.
Yeah, where you say where? You said California?
California.
California, they don't. California and Florida,
they don't play that.
They need to be strict.
Oh yeah,
as crazy as they get.
Texas
down.
need to as well.
Yeah, Texas as well. Y'all need just one per person.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. But there's no limits and there's no way right or wrong that you carry. I remember one time I was driving through. So there are even traveler laws. So I drive frequently from Missouri up to Indiana. I have to cross through Illinois a lot of times, right? Well, every time.
And Illinois is a little bit strict.
They are very strict.
Yes.
But because I'm a traveler, I'm not taking place or staying in that state as a traveler when I'm passing through, as long as I make them aware. And I say make them aware because if they end up going through your car and finding something, that can get you in a whole different world of trouble.
So if you do get pulled over and meaning you're going from state to state and you're just traveling through.
Yep.
Is it a point to say at a traffic stop that, hey, I have it? Or because I've heard officers. Okay. Because I've heard officers say that it's not.
You don't have to tell them. Yeah, you are not required to.
Yeah, I've heard officers say you don't need to tell me that because now I feel like, why are you telling me
and
that?
now they going to take extra measures, right? Yes. So I usually don't say anything, but in this particular situation, it was like in my middle console and you could see it.
Okay. Yeah, if it's visible.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, I got a firearm. Again, I'm in the state of Illinois. I don't have that reciprocity, even though I'm permitted in Missouri. I don't have that reciprocity in Illinois. So they could have, went the extra mile, but he simply said, don't touch yours. I won't touch mine. There.
Simple.
We went through the process. He gave me my ticket or warning, whatever it was, and allowed me to keep going again because I was traveling through the state. But if you make that place, if you're staying there, whatever, then that's a whole nother level of laws that you need to read and understand. But there's no, as far as I know, in Missouri and Kansas, there's no particular way that you have to carry when it's on your person or in your car. Yeah. I know some states have open carry laws. So if you are carrying on your body, it has to be visible. Missouri and Kansas are concealed carry, meaning I can have it on me and you may not never know that I have it on me. And that's still legal even without a permit. So you just need to know the laws in the state and in the municipality. So in the city lines or the boundaries that you're in, because it could change from county to county.
And we've had a lot of discussion on this show just about being smart.
Yeah.
And knowing stuff, but it's easier said than done because I feel like there's so many times that I've looked at the news in my adult life when I was a minor that I'm seeing something new, a new policy.
And it's all contradicting what you thought you knew.
Exactly. Or it's like, wait, and then they tell you a new policy, but then they're like, the policy don't come into effect till 2 years from now. So why you tell me right now? Because now I think it's law. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's so much stuff in this day and age that pops up and people see headlines and be like, oh, a 12-year-old can go and get those type of things. So when you're having conversations, because I know you've been very vocal about the Second Amendment and being an advocate for it in a lot of different spaces, when it comes to that and the conversation starts to be about people that abuse it, people that are out here doing these school shootings, all the other horrific things that happen in our world, because with things that can be helpful, there's people that's going to abuse it. And vice versa. So when it comes to those conversations, how do you typically handle that?
It's not easy, especially being one who 100% stands on the Second Amendment. Like, I believe that everyone has a right to a firearm. The conversation that you moderated, I can specifically remember them talking about red flag laws. Red flag laws are things that have been conversations that have been taking place for years upon years, and I don't think there's a right or wrong. And
could you explain what red flag laws
so
are?
a red flag law is basically, yes, you may be legal to, pass a background check and purchase a firearm, but if you have any mental illness history, if your family has any mental illness history, if you have somebody in your house that is a criminal, like there are so many different
stipulations.
It's like the list goes on and on and on, and it's like, okay, so one of the examples I gave during that conversation is I have been a victim of physical abuse, right, in a relationship. So okay, I'm in this relationship, getting physically abused. Now he gets to the phone and calls the police before I do. So now I'm on record. Maybe the police asked me to leave, and now that's on record. Right. But I'm still the one who's gotten physically abused. So now when I go and purchase a firearm, it's a red flag on my account saying, nah, she's been arrested or, had a warning for this abuse situation. When if we look at the full story, I was the one being abused. I was just that one who got, affected in that moment. So now you're taking away my opportunity to protect me and my children against this violent individual. Exactly. So that red flag, so it's very hard for me to have these conversations, but then I turn around and be like, why do we need all these 100-round magazines? Why is it okay?
It's unnecessary
for an 18-year-old can have a firearm at this age. Your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed. Why do you need a gun at this age?
Exactly.
But I have an 18-year-old who's been in situations where men have followed her through the parking lot. Wow. And we're talking about going and making sure that she's trained and she feels comfortable in getting her own firearm. It's just things like, it's real sticky when it comes to things like that. So red flag, I'm up in the air, but I don't, there's no line in the sand. I can't say, Deona, you deserve a gun. Latasha, you don't deserve a gun, because something, your mental can flip at any moment, and I could be cured from mine. You see what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily agree with it. There's no line in the sand. I think it's all case by case, but that's not the way the law can be written necessarily case by case.
Yeah.
So
now I've been to the range a few times before, and during my time at the range, because I've talked to my grandmother about this, because she, you know how older black people are, they, and girl, you don't need, all of that stuff. So I've had conversations with my grandmother about this. Shout out to Nanny. And so when we first talked about it, she expressed how she felt in all of those things. But when I've noticed, when you go to those ranges, you talked about the people that are there. I've been seeing way more diversity that's been at those ranges. But it's kind of like a community.
Oh yeah.
Like I started to understand what people are saying. Like it's so many two things can be true with a lot of things, where it's like there is a lot of bad things that are happening, and a lot of our concerned cousins out there just like, we need to get rid of all of them. To me, what's the likelihood that that's going to happen? So
we live in America. That's
right. And so, in the opposite end is to equip yourself and be educated. Right. Knowledge is power, and knowing how to use it if you choose to use it. And those type of things. And I got a little bit lost in the sauce talking about but the community part is something that I've noticed. And when you're having conversations with people, I've heard plenty of people just be like, "Oh, you got that? You got the switch?" Or you so. Is it ever
switches? Don't say that.
Right. Well, I know that. This is hypothetical because I really don't know nothing about no switch. I just know I keep seeing it on the headlines.
Right.
But is it safe to even share in conversation that you possess a firearm? Because I feel like that's something that's weird. Like if you're at a range, I get it. It's the environment. So people can expect that you may or may not. But if you're having kind of casual conversations with a peer or something, is it ever okay and safe to do that?
I think so. It's the same way they say you don't go anywhere with a firearm that you wouldn't go without it. So I'm not going to walk down this dark alley because I don't have my firearm. You probably shouldn't be walking down that dark alley where you got your gun or not, right? So if I don't feel comfortable enough to sit down and be like, oh yeah, look at this, or Deona, let me tell you about this new firearm or this new whatever that I purchased, I shouldn't be engaging in that conversation, period. But there is a huge two-way community, and color lines get really blurred in that space, which I love. So again, I noticed that the propel for me learning how to become certified or getting comfortable with my firearm was due to what was happening as far as racial lines. But once you are in that community, when I say I had this group of white men, the Western Missouri Shooters Alliance, shout out to y'all.
I saw some of the pictures.
Room full of white men. And they came to me, hey, we want you to join. One, we need young people. Two, we want to understand your perspective. We want to understand. They engage me in so many conversations. And if you look me up, most of my interviews that have been done over the years have been with one of the men who was a president, right? But even in that, and I love how transparent they were. He came to me one day. They always have a gun rally, a Second Amendment rally down in Jeff City every year. He said, hey, I need you to be there. And I'm like, it's in the middle of the day. I got to drive 2 hours.
And Jeff City too?
Yeah. He's like, no, we need you there because it's always a room full of white men. For you to be there, be an advocate, speak up for why you believe in Second Amendment, that's going to get the politicians' ears to perk up because it's somebody who they're not used to hearing. And it was when I went in there. So it's a big rally in the rotunda. So everybody's there just talking, getting on the mic. And then after that, you kind of disperse and go and knock on different people's doors. So the influencers go knock on the people's door who's against 2A and have a conversation with them. When they would lead in the door, okay, here's my card. Send me an email. We'll schedule time. When I would leave, okay, sit down. Let's have a conversation. Why do you feel this way? So it really does build community. It blurs those color lines. And it is rich. And I will also say when I really got into the community of Second Amendment, I learned how to garden. I started learning how to survival techniques.
Like garden. I didn't expect that one.
I got a tent. I have
that's two
we store
different
water
tools.
And it's simply because after the gun. So again, I got into it because of the zombies outside, right?
Right.
Once the zombies are gone and I have to survive, do I have enough food? Do I know how to grow my own food? Do I know how to start a fire? So it taught me so many other skills that I went in just to learn how to protect me and my daughter. And I ended up again not only building community and friends, but now I have all these other skills that I can lean on outside of just my firearm.
Yeah. And you've also mentioned about, I believe with KSHB at one point, you were talking about just Kansas City's violence.
Oh, yeah.
And within that, it's beyond just kind of the firearm conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, like I said earlier, in a perfect world, when nobody needed it at all, we wouldn't have it. Oh, that'd be great.
I'm here for it.
But it's here. And now it's about letting people know how they can educate themselves on how to use it and how to protect themselves from it. And I know you talked about mental health and lack of resources. Could you speak a little bit to like just kind of that overall?
Absolutely.
I know it's a broad conversation.
No, I love it. That's one of the reasons why I do tote the fact that I've trained 200, and I appreciate that you always say families because it wasn't just women, it wasn't just adults. Yeah. I was pushing to train children, young people, not because I want them to learn how to carry a gun properly, but every kid spends the night at their friend's house or at their cousin's house. What if their family don't lock up their firearms the way my household does? And now, you know, we want to play with it. We want to go and see and act like we in a video and somebody gets hurt. But that one child that has come to one of my workshops now knows how to properly dismantle the firearm, know how to pull the magazine out, and then go tell an adult or whatever the case may be. That could have saved a life. Right.
And I didn't even think about it from that perspective because I think sometimes people just think, well, what does a 15-year-old need to be doing at a gun range or a class? And the perspective of they might be around at a friend's house and they need to know how to, you know, be like, and they won't even be curious either because they've been around it. So they're not trying to go in there and play like a rapper on a video.
And it's crazy because so many households allow their kids to play video games that have to do with guns and violence. GTA. But you don't want them to learn about how to properly, because kids always think they can respawn. Like, no, that is not real life. Once something happens, you done lost a limb, you lost a friend, whatever the case. So if you're gonna let them have access to that information, show them how to use it properly or show them the proper way to understand what the impact is for whatever they're getting into, whether it's on a video game or real life. So that's what drove me to really, go beyond just teaching women. That was how I got started in it. But no, we need to teach these kids. And it was one morning I woke up and saw a 15-year-old accidentally murdered it was a friend or a cousin, because they had access to a firearm, was sitting there playing with it. And now that 15-year-old has to live with trauma. Yeah. And go through whatever, and her parents have to go through whatever process they had to go through, because a lot of times the parents get charged, and that's just disrupting this child just because they thought something was fun and looked cool. So why are we not spending as much time educating them? Another thing that happens is specifically in the Black community, urban core community, or people who don't have consistent or regular access to firearms. I remember my daddy, he had a gun his whole life growing up. The only thing I knew about is don't touch it. of course I'm gonna try to figure out where that gun is and look at it. Even if I don't
like
touch
the stove thing.
You gonna touch it just to see if it's hot.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Let's break that cycle of misunderstanding. Let's break that curiosity. That's the biggest thing. But then a lot of the communities don't have access to, when it comes to, okay, I know what a gun is, I know how to use it. Why are you resorting to that? Right. It's not necessarily just people going out on a rampage wanting to kill people. It's lack of hope. It's lack of resources. I don't have access to this, but I still got to go home and feed my little sister. Mm-hmm. I still need to make sure that we have shoes on our feet, whatever the case. So that is, and sometimes the quickest way to get to that is a quick dollar. But usually when you getting a quick dollar, you running up on somebody you doing, I don't know. I've never been in that space or position, but I think a lot of it that affects the urban core is also due to lack of resources, lack of access, lack of education. So, and that's another reason why I love what I do during the day when I do take my cape off at night, is the financial education. Like, how can we help position people to say, yes, this is where you are. I'm gonna meet you here, but we're gonna put a plan together to get you where you want to go. What are your goals? And a lot of the youth that we reach don't even have goals. Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to get past graduation. I'm just trying to, like, no, there's so much more out there. Let's have a conversation, or let me show you an example. I came from the city. People look at me all day long like, hold on, you do what? Like, piercings, tattoos, I do all of it, and you can too, right?
A triple agent.
Right.
I said double. I was wrong.
Do it all. But it's just like, hey, there's another way. It may not be easy. It may not be as easy as getting that quick buck over there that you might be getting, but there's another way, and it's going to lead to way more opportunities than that is over there.
You dropped the mic on that one right there. That was perfect. What caught you by surprise in your time of learning and training and just being educated in the space of firearms? Because I know you mentioned the tribal thing, a lot of stuff that we all think that we know until you actually sit in the room and somebody's like X, Y, and Z. Was there anything that caught you off guard?
What caught me off guard about me specifically in this space is how many, you always look at men to be the protector, and they know how many men, and then I notice how many people in the military don't know a whole lot about firearms.
Really?
They know about that rifle that they put in their hands, but they don't know the mechanics necessarily about other firearms. They don't know, a lot of them don't understand the laws, because, you know, the laws and rules under military is completely different than it is as a civilian.
Right, yeah.
So just, I worked at a gun store, so at one point in my life, and in working in that gun store,
you saw a lot of things.
A whole lot. Too much. I done seen a young man walking in with sweatpants. I'm thinking just, hey, hi, young man. How are you? How can you help? How can I help you? Oh, I think my gun is malfunctioning. Can you help me? I said, yeah, go ahead and go out to the car. Just make sure it's fully unlocked. Oh, I ain't got to go out to the car. Sweatpants. Pulled out a rifle. And I was like, okay, if you just walked in here like that, how are you just walking around the world? And I never would have suspected that he had a whole rifle.
That's
in his
crazy.
Sweatpants. It was like so many different things working in that store. It was a great time. I met a lot of wonderful people, but again, you run into those people who you think know, they at the range all the time, and they don't know nothing. Like they don't understand the laws. They don't really understand how to use their firearm. They just got comfortable enough with it. So having those conversations, asking questions, digging deeper, not assuming that somebody else knows, because I don't know everything about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always learning.
And things always changing too.
Always. The laws are always changing. And one thing we always used to say in our classes is when it goes back to laws, everything is written in a very ambiguous way. Because that means that me and you could have done the same exact thing. They're going to apply the laws different for you than they do for me, simply because different scenarios, different people, different backgrounds. So just having that understanding that laws are ever changing, is not the same on this side of the city as it might be on that side. It's such a great space to be in.
Yeah. Now, with you being a parent of two, right? Two little girls. Well, one's 18, so she's not so little. Yeah. 18 and 15. They almost grown. That's how I'm sure they feeling. They feeling grown right about now.
A little bit.
Now, how did you, in their space of them growing up, how did you, once you finally got hip and educated, safely feel like, okay, this is stored properly? And how did you communicate it to them?
Yep. It was a long runway. So it would start off, at first I'm just like, oh, I'm going to the gun range. Y'all want to go? No, we do not want to go in there.
So you would invite them though?
Yes. Never wanted to go. So I'm like, okay, cool. But again, these firearms are in the house. How do I teach them about these firearms? So the first day I sat them down, I was like, hey, Mom has guns in the house. Y'all know this. Here's the gun. I laid them all out on my bed. I said, here they all are. Look at them. Ask as many questions. Don't touch. Ask as many questions as you want to. Didn't really have any questions. The next week, All right, so then I just had one handgun, and it was the one that I knew I wanted them to have access to if or when they needed to, if I wasn't at home. Hey, this is this one. I'm going to show you it's fully unloaded. Make sure there was no magazine, no rounds close by. It's just an empty gun. Hold this. I want you to feel it, feel the weight of it, ask questions, do whatever you need to do. So every week I would just kind of build on a little bit more and more. So then at one point I did put my mama foot down. I was like, no, y'all going to the gun range with me. And I made them. Didn't make them shoot. I just wanted them to hear the sound of it.
Because it pops.
The smell. The watch how my body reacted after I pulled the trigger, all the things. And then on the ride home, we, get something to eat. They asked all the questions. One time, again, it was with that women's gun club. We were out in the field. We were doing a photo shoot. It was like our kickoff to, just telling the world this is who we are. So we were out there, and after we got done, it was a outdoor gun range. So we were out there shooting. My youngest at the time, she was 7 or 8. She was like, I want to shoot, Mom. All right, come on. She shot one little one, and then I gave her like a rifle. It was a 22. Yeah, it was a little 380.
Right, that's 22.
And then I gave her a 22 rifle, and she loved it. After that, every now and again, not every time, she would ask to go to the gun range with me. And so I would take her. My oldest still be at home. I don't want to do it. And then finally one day she came to me and she said, I want to go to the gun range. Like, okay. So we went, and all she shot was 5 rounds. Cause that's all I ever led anybody with, especially new or had anxiety. Here's 5 rounds. We're going to see how you feel after them. Even if you don't make it through the 5, and we can go back out. She did her 5, had her little, target paper posted up in her room. She had it in her room for like a year. But it took her about 3 years after the initial time I sat them down to get to that comfortability, but I never rushed it. And even with that, hey, this is the door you exit out of if something were to happen, since you don't feel comfortable with a gun. But you the older sister, so you got to protect your little sister. This is where you go. This is how you do this. This is who you call. So I still had other measures set up in the event, or in the absence of actually having a firearm, until she was comfortable with it. But now she at the point, like I said, because of occurrences that have happened to her while she's out in the world by herself, now she's ready. But even still, I'm not just putting a gun in her hand. I'm saying, okay, we're going to go back to training. We're going to start at square one.
And it was gradual. That sounds good too, because you don't want information overload. And something like that, it also helps them build their own curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
Because you tell them too much, they're like, oh, okay, well, she already told me, so I guess I know it.
And they were like, well, what's this? So what does that do?
Right.
And I'm at home cleaning, and this is another thing I would always do. After they got comfortable, when I wanted to clean a firearm, I would be like, hey, go in the room or in the closet or wherever go bring me that firearm. Bring it here, because I'm about to clean. And I would observe them going to go get it, making sure that they're holding it properly, they're pointing it in the right direction. And that was another way for me to make sure that they were comfortable and they were listening to the instruction that I've given them over time.
Right.
So it was like, okay, go and do this for me and bring it back. But that's a teaching moment for them as well.
Yeah. When it comes to safety, not every firearm has a safety on it. What are your thoughts on if people should consider a firearm with a safety? Is it a purpose? Is it going to get you caught up? What are your thoughts on that?
It is a purpose, and it can get you caught up. Like, that's, again, one of those two things are true. I tell anybody, train with both. Right? If you haven't purchased a firearm, train with one with the safety, train with one without. Because in the heat of the moment, are you going to remember to account for the couple seconds that it's going to take you to turn that safety off, or are you sitting there just automatically trying to pull the trigger and wondering why nothing's happening?
Right.
So you always want to train on what's best or what you have access to. So if you only have access to a firearm that has everybody know Glocks. Glocks are notorious for, everybody knows they don't have safety on them. Are you going to be comfortable and not just automatically have your finger on that trigger and you going when you're not ready yet? You know what I mean? Or you're not actually pointed at your target. So training is imperative. And then whatever you have access to, just get comfortable with it. Knowing that you got to account for that safety, or, you ready to go. Or even, not even a safety, but do you have one in the chamber, one in the barrel? Right. Or are you going to account for the time it takes you to rack that slide, pull one up from the magazine? Because again,
and depending upon which type of firearm you have, it can be very difficult.
Yes,
or it can
exactly.
be,
Yep. That spring ain't easy. So again, are you accounting for that time that it's going to take for you to actually stop that threat from coming towards you? Or are you putting your life in more of a danger because, you done pulled a gun on me and you don't know how to use it? I'm coming for you.
Right. Yeah. And I just saw an interview, popular rapper from St. Louis, his name is Hitman Holla, and his girlfriend Cinnamon, they had a moment years ago where basically it was like a home invasion. People came into their house and he wasn't there. And I think previous to that, he had just given her a firearm and he taught her like the basics, and he was like, nah, I don't want you to have no safety, because I know for a fact, knowing you're not going to have time. And luckily she was able to defend herself in that home invasion. I believe she was affected, I think, to a degree of maybe being shot at some point. So she recovered and everything. But if she had not had that weapon and it wasn't off safety, the chances of her shooting back and all of those things would
still
not
being here with us.
Being here with us would be, not likely at all. So I know that that's important. Now, for someone that's thinking about that first firearm, outside of the many things that we talked about today, what would be the first step you think that they should at least take or think about?
The first step, thinking about purchasing, if you don't already have access to one in your home, because some people are like, oh, my husband has a gun, but I don't, and I want to go buy one. Well, until you're ready to purchase one, you need to know what your budget is. You need to know what kind of caliber you want.
And pause real quick, because you mentioned somebody else might have a firearm, but you don't, but you want to use it. Now that sounds, I don't know the legal land.
In a household.
Right, but in a household, but I'm curious. When there's people out there that's just like, oh man, I'm finna go to this place, let me just hold your.
I know.
We ain't doing that, right?
Hell no. No. Because if you get in trouble with that firearm, it's still under my name. Like, exactly. I am listed as the owner of that firearm. In the state of Missouri, you don't have to register your gun. So in some states, you do. Every time you purchase, you have to go and register with the sheriff's office, police department, somebody, right?
Gotcha.
In Missouri, you don't have to do that. But it still shows the last listed owner was me.
Right.
And you done did something. Now they going to tell me, did you know he was going to go do this and you gave him this fire? No, absolutely not. And I'm not getting in the mix with that. Yeah. So I've always told anybody, we don't let nobody borrow. Now, if we're in the same household, of course you have access to that firearm, right? In most cases.
Yeah.
So if my daughter, you have access to it, I'm going to make sure that you feel comfortable on how to use it in order to protect this castle or this home. But if you are going to go purchase one, you need to know your budgets. Guns ain't always cheap.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the cheaper ones ain't the most reliable.
Exactly.
So you want to make sure that you find that sweet spot or whatever you're comfortable with your budget. But even in that, are you able to rack the slide? Are you able to load the magazine?
Right. Know what you're doing.
Yes. Do you know all these different things? So luckily, most gun ranges, as far as all the ones in the Kansas City metro area, all of them do allow you to rent. So you can rent a firearm. Typical price is about $10. And you can go in there and say, hey, I think I want to purchase this one. Does it feel comfortable in your hand? Can you actually hold it? Is it too heavy? So rent and try out different firearms. And then it's based on where you're going to use it. You're not walking around with a shotgun in your car, because that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But at home, most people have a shotgun. Exactly. You know what I mean? So where is your primary usage, or are you going to carry it outside the home? Again, does it fit in your hand? Can you afford the ammunition? You may be able to afford the gun, but can you afford the bullets that go inside of it?
Right. So it's
you
can afford that Mercedes, but can you afford the gas?
Or the tax? Let's talk about that.
Ooh, that personal property tax. That's a good point.
Touchy.
Right.
But
I just hit somebody. I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to lash out at you. I am so sorry.
But it's all these different things. So people are like, okay, what's the perfect first gun? Like, it's really
and
the
grip. I know you mentioned that, that's a big thing, because if you feel like you can't hold it, then I'm assuming it's like
you look like you got fairly small hands.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if it's too big and too bulky, and then the firepower behind it, I have long nails all the time, so I can't.
Right. So if
it's too small, it ain't gonna feel comfortable in my hand. Right. You know what I mean? So there are just different levels too. There's no perfect answer to what
you just gotta match what you're looking for and what you can. I guess what you can hold properly.
Hold, afford, store. Again, are you comfortable without having the safety? Then the sights. A lot of people get and don't understand that if your sights are all black, what if you're trying to use it and it, it's pretty dark out or it's pretty dark in the room? You have to be able to line up those sights. But if your sights,
I thought all of them was white.
Not all of them. Yeah, there's some of them that are black.
Okay.
Some guns don't have sights on them at all.
Well, they think people pros or something.
Yep.
Wasn't a Walker Texas Ranger? World.
Some of them don't. So are you prepared to use whatever that firearm is?
Random question, because I just thought about this. If someone goes to the range or goes somewhere, they purchase some bullets, because I know there's different bullets at the range than there's bullets that you actually load your gun up with. So it's either the bullets at the range or the bullets you would load your firearm up with. Let's say you're in the process of moving some sort, you lose a box of the bullets. Is that equivalent to you misplacing your firearm?
No. There's no real trace back to whose bullets these are or anything like that. I remember, I probably shouldn't be saying this on camera, but I'm going to say it anyway.
It's up to your comfortability.
Listen, whatever, it's 5 years removed now. During COVID, it was, ammunition was very expensive and it was selling out real fast.
Oh, so everybody had that idea.
It was, some baggies went out. Like, hey, I got 10 rounds I can sell you for $20.
I bet people was
because
I didn't know it was like that.
It was the same way it was running out of toilet paper at the store.
Really?
People were standing in line.
And that makes sense because people just didn't know what was going on. So it's fear everywhere.
Buying in abundance.
Wow.
But then if you didn't get to the store in enough time, then you didn't have nothing. And then I can't tell you how many times my phone has rang like, hey, I got a 380 and it's hard enough finding 380s in normal times. Can you got something? Yep, here I got an extra box you can, and it's not necessarily extra box, but I got a box you can spare. Right. Give me what I paid for it. So it's not tracked or monitored like that.
Like a fire.
But the only difference is now the caveat to that is if I've touched all over these bullets,
right,
and now I sell them to you, and then you gonna use them. And
you didn't do something illegal. Now, right? Okay,
the fingerprints potentially lead back to me.
Gotcha.
But it's not tracked or monitored or registered or anything like a firearm is.
Gotcha. I was always curious about how that worked. Well,
you good.
Yeah, I'm just checking. I ain't checking
you,
for me.
Somebody good.
Right, somebody good. Disclaimer, throwing that out there. But I really appreciate you taking the time to just kind of walk us through this. And I've been really lately been wanting to have more like info given driven type of conversations about stuff, because it's a lot of stuff that we just don't know. We go about our everyday lives just hearing a lot of stuff from a lot of sources, and sometimes it's helpful to actually have people like yourself that were formerly certified for several years, taught other families and on training when it comes to firearms. So it's actually good to actually hear you all explain bit by bit, as crazy as some of these scenarios might be, or as realistic as some of them might be. It's good to actually break it down. So I really appreciate you breaking down the time, because like I said, I wanted it to be a purposeful conversation, and it's not to drive people to get a firearm, but if you are in the position in your life where you're considering it, I think this is a great episode to understand that you're like, okay, I know a little bit now. I'm finna look up a class, because I took a class and that gave me a lot of insight. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. Then eventually, just like you mentioned with your daughter, eventually people get to that point where they're like, all right, I took a class 5 years ago. Now I'm ready to maybe go to the range. So you move at your own pace, do what you got to do. CYA, no matter what you do.
Every time. I will also say, before it sounds like you closing, there are levels. You don't have to go from not owning a gun to just jumping right in and getting your permit, your concealing carry permit. Although I'm not certified, I still do lessons. Like I'll get booked for birthday parties, and I'll take a small group of people, and we'll go to the range just for fun. It is. It really is. And we'll go just for fun. Some people still ask me to like take their families. So you don't necessarily have to go from step A to step Z. You can baby step it and go, and you did just a sit down classroom portion of it, and then you went on about your day. You know what I mean? Like, you may not be ready to go to the range. I may not be ready to carry it every day and get a permit, but I can at least start going to these lessons and getting comfortable, getting familiar, and then build your way up to getting a permit, or actually going to the gun range. So there's a way you can baby step it. It's not just
jumping off the porch.
Whole
Slow down.
Yeah.
And when y'all get in these road rage situations, pulling out your firearm, showing somebody you got it, and even showing your firearm, period. Because I mean, we see so much stuff happening in Kansas.
Brandishing, and that is illegal.
It is illegal, and they gonna lock you up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. We don't want you
to jail. Yeah, remember that?
Right, yeah, that was funny. Yeah, y'all gonna get locked up. We don't want you out here locked up. We want you to be smart about what you got going on. And if you know you into some mess and you a hothead, like you said, you shouldn't be in possession. Remove yourself. You shouldn't be in possession of a firearm, especially if you have no common sense. That's how I've always looked at it. If you don't have discipline, patience, you gotta have patience when it comes to that. Because what you gonna do every time somebody piss you off?
You can't pull that gun.
What you gonna do?
Be in jail.
You're going to be in jail with nothing to pull.
Or gone, because somebody going to pull it. You going to pull yours, and somebody go, oh, okay, hold on, I can do you one better.
Yeah, we don't want to turn this into the Wild Wild West. Let's not do that, especially with everything going on right now. We got enough on our plate.
Agreed.
So thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Social media, could you let everybody know how to get in contact? Or what's the, like, if people are like you mentioned, booking. They got a birthday party coming up. They like, it's for my 30th. Me and my girls, we want to do this. Is it a way for people to get in contact with you?
I'm low key kind of off social media right now.
Okay,
but
okay, cool.
I'm gonna say this. My Facebook is Monique MoniqueJay. My email address is Latasha Latasha Jacobs Jacobs 31 @gmail. So there are 2 ways you can get to me. Other than that, I'm always around in the city. I'm here, there. Somebody know my name. Ask at least 3 people. Somebody know who I am.
Yeah.
But there's ways to get in contact with me, and I'm always happy and eager to take people to the range.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We got to go to the range.
Yes. I'm down.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
All right, hold on. Hold on now. Hold on.